One.
Welcome back to Power Panel 365. This is your host, Star Coates, and today we are at the Music Hall of Fame Gallery. And today I'm here with our tour guide. Say hello.
I'm Blondina. Hi.
That's Blondina. She's a tour guide here in San Francisco. So she's going to give us a tour of the museum, their gallery, and we'll get back to you guys real soon.
Hi. Well, this is Stevie Nicks, and I don't know if you know this, but Stevie came from Menlo Park, and she used to come up to San Francisco all the time to get her really funky, wonderful clothes, and she used to go to the Haight-Ashbury, and she is, we love Stevie Nicks, right? She's so fantastic. And some of her most iconic, she followed people like Grace Slick, Janis Joplin. She had her own style, but she really was she has her own style, but she loved their music and was influenced by them. There's even, this is a hotel as well, and there's a Stevie Nicks room in here. You can spend the night actually with Stevie Nicks.
Wow.
In a virtual sort of way.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a great artist. His name is Bobby Freeman, and you may not recognize him, but he actually wrote and produced a song in the 1950s that was one of the most recorded songs of all time. It was recorded by such people as John Lennon, the Beach Boys, the Mamas and Papas, Bette Midler, even the Ramones did a punk version. And so talented, but he wound up in North Beach, and I used to hear him every night because I worked in a shop right next to the nightclub he played at. And he backed up a legendary performer by the name of Carol Doda. You'll have to look her up, but she was legendary in North Beach and San Francisco. So he's just a terrific writer and performer, just one of the wonderful people who have a backstory in this gallery. This is Charles Brown. He lived between 1943 and 1999. Just a beautiful singer, influenced so many of our great artists today. So many of the people we have in here, even the older ones, they're the roots of the music of today. And so he did mostly like rhythm and blues and jazz, and just a fantastic musician. He's performed in. They did a tribute to him at the Oakland Paramount Theater in 1997, and just historic here. This is one of our great punk groups from San Francisco called the Dead Kennedys that performed in one of our clubs called the Mabuhay Gardens. People like the Sex Pistols and Blondie and so many really great musicians have played there. They're doing what's called moshing. This is a guy by the name of Jello Biafra who ran for mayor at one time in San Francisco.
Wow.
And he did not win, but if he did, all the politicians would be wearing clown outfits.
Uh-oh.
So that's
hilarious.
Anna arrived from Mexico in San Francisco. He went to Mission High School, and he's just one of our beloved musicians. He still comes back to the neighborhood. He gets his shoes made where I get mine made in North Beach. A guy by the name of Al's Attire, and he's working on something for Santana right now. But he is a generous spiritual man, and he played at Woodstock. I think he did a 45-minute solo on guitar. He's kind of known as the Latin Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
So Tony Tone from Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
They started in 1988, and they're still going. Little R&B. I think they were involved with, they helped produce Kalani. She's kind of a newer artist who's fabulous. She's within this gallery as well. And so they're, so they help each other. So many musicians, I just love when they kind of support each other. And Joplin, one of the great singers of all time from blues, Delta Blues. She's from Texas. She came out here with a gentleman who started the Avalon Ballroom. His name is Chet Helms. And she actually just lived a very full life before she passed away. But she was one of the greats and so beloved by so many.
So this is another pic of E40 here in the gallery. And he's a well-known Bay Area rapper.
So much hip hop, rap since 1986.
And a very well-known entrepreneur as well, too.
So much. In the 1960s, they never expected to be that huge.
Wow.
It was raining the whole time too, but some of the great bands came out of that concert, and there was no violence. Total love fest.
Wow.
The Beats and Pete, they're kind of Middle Eastern, as you can imagine. You can see Sal Valentino. He's actually been to my house. He was in a group called the Beau Brummels, who were short-lived, but he has the most beautiful voice. And he grew up in my neighborhood.
Okay.
I don't live here. Tuna, a local band comprised of a lot of different local bands that have played with people like the Jefferson Airplane, the Grateful Dead. They all reformed into Hot Tuna. It was a really, really hot band probably in the 60s. Blues rock sort of band. So Van Morrison's from Ireland. Belfast, I believe. He comes and plays in San Francisco. I've heard him play a couple times at the Great American Music Hall. And he's calmed down a lot. He was quite a ranter, but he's calmed down a lot. But really, he's written some beautiful songs. Moon Dance, so many of the iconic songs. Okay.
Go ahead.
Larry Graham Central Station. He's a great guitarist. He did this kind of thumping and plucking. He developed a whole way of handling the strings. So he did a lot of funk and soul, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Tupac Shakur, probably he's known as the godfather of hip hop. And he came from New York, but he came cross country via Baltimore, and he lived in Marin. And he in his short life, he was just a beloved and well-respected musician. He was a poet, sort of a gangster. He unfortunately got shot in Las Vegas in a drive-through shooting, but he was truly missed. But what he gave the culture is just indescribable. Jefferson Starship came out of the Jefferson Airplane, and you can see Grace Slick in this photograph. They started in the 1970s. Jefferson Airplane was in the 1960s, and they did that amazing, well-known song, "We Built This City on Rock and Roll," in San Francisco.
3, 2, 1.
This is Sammy Hagar, known as the Red Rocker. He was in Van Halen, and really, what I love about so many musicians that they give back to the community. He had all these tiki bars, and he donated a lot of the profits to charities and things like that. So they're rockers and they rock on, but they also give back.
3, 2, 1.
Deaf Heaven, they're a rock metal band. I didn't know too much about them, but just a couple weeks ago on my tour, this is George Clark, who's actually a poet. He's evidently going to school in New York for screenwriting, but his dad came on the tour with his family. And people have been discussing him just the day before about his music and how it's changed and evolved. And I was get a really great insight into where this kid comes from. So this is George Clark, and his dad is also George Clark. Or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go inside, it's all one of the great bluesmen. And I want to tell you something. I've heard him a few times in North Beach. He started a great club called the Boom Boom Room. But a lot of people have followed him. He died a few years. Well, I guess he died in 2001, but not before he did some of the greatest blues of all time. MC Hammer. He's always been an iconic dresser, for one thing, and hip hop. He started early on. He was a forerunner, and I guess he ran into a little trouble in his life, but now he's back and he's preaching and everything. So I love his style.